Hello and welcome to our channel. It's Saturday, 11:35 in the morning, and we're patiently waiting for Nandromeda's return. David's excited, and I suppose I am too. I think it's a bit what they call separation anxiety. She's been delivered and handed over to us by Dave from Bardsea Leisure.
Nobody will know who it is.
I've not put my makeup on.
Right, so.
Instruction book. I'll let you have a read through that at your leisure.
Right.
I'll give you a quick run through if you like.
Yes, please.
We've taken some parts off your van.
Yes.
The stabiliser legs we've left on the floor. And your jack, which would normally be in a little hatch in the driver's doorstep. That would normally be in here.
Yeah.
That's blanked off now. It's all sealed in and watertight, but we need the space behind it for the jacking leg.
Right.
So that's gone. Your panel's here. You just press the top and it'll pop out. It'll turn itself on.
Right.
The ignition needs to be on.
So the ignition just needs to be on, the engine doesn't need to be running?
No, because usually when these are installed with a manual handbrake, there would be a safety interlock that if you had the ignition on and took the handbrake off, it would think you were about to drive away, so it would retract all the jacks.
Right.
Because you don't have a manual handbrake, we have to wire it up slightly differently, so you have to have the ignition on for it to work.
Right.
But if you start the engine, it'll retract everything and set an alarm off.
All right.
Just as a safety feature, so you can't drive off with your jacks down.
Excellent.
So it's timed out now because I've been waffling. There's just a little button on the back. It'll come back again. Two options, manual and automatic. I would use automatic for most things.
Right.
The only situation you would want to use manual is if the ground that you've parked on is a bit wonky, the computer thinks that's beyond the scope of what it can level, it'll recommend that you do it manually. And because the jacks are 8 or 9 inches clear of the ground, you'll lose that amount of travel before it touches the ground. So doing it manually, you could put wooden blocks under there to get some more range on the levelling system. Another thing is once it's level, some people like to sleep with the head a bit higher than the feet, so you could override that and lift the head side of your bed up. If you're going to go manual, I'll just click that and show you. It does everything in pairs. So it'll do the front pair or the back pair or a pair either side.
Right.
So you would just hold the button until the motorhome just moves an inch so you know that they're both down. It's just moved a little bit. Same with the back. They're just behind the wheel. And then in the middle, do you see the little yellow arrows? One of them's yellow, that's pointing to the low end.
Right.
So if you just then, it's sort of semi-automatic, if you just hold that, it'll stop itself when it's level. And that's it. That's it. So if you then wanted to override that and bring the head side up a little bit, you could then press it again and it would carry on. And if you keep it held, it'll go till it runs out of travel, but I wouldn't recommend that. I'll just go back and into automatic. When you want to fold everything up, just the up button, one tap, and it'll retract everything.
What do you reckon so far?
Boys and their toys.
So it'll stop itself when it's done, and usually a few seconds later it'll just chirp again just to make sure everything's solid and back up. Won't do it now, I've said that, won't it?
I can hear something.
There you go. So that's just making sure that if there's some air or something and something's starting to creep down or whatever, just make sure everything's locked up. Automatic is as simple as that. You just press it once and it sorts itself out.
Just trying to get some shadow on it. There we go.
you can see the bubble in the middle. Once it's happy, it'll turn green in the middle.
You don't know where to look, do
There
you?
you go, green spot.
Green spot in the middle,
So that's
level.
done. Yeah. I think the best thing about it is that when you're walking around inside, usually the suspension would be, it's absolutely rock solid, it's great. There's a facility to tip it to one side to empty your waste tank.
Right.
You can't do that from this position, you have to fold everything up and then do it. The jacks can be lifted up a little bit at a time, sort of in pairs, but when you're retracting stuff, it retracts everything together, so it can't just retract one side, it has to retract everything and then start again. So I'll show you that. So retract everything.
When it was raised up, we've got a very good drop for the grey waste.
Looks that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, so I don't know that we would need to, but it's just as well to know.
Yeah, well the pipe's attached to the left side of the tank, so it'll tip the motorhome to the left and it must empty a bit quicker. So again, just one tap on there and it'll sort itself out.
Look back.
The back, that's probably the best view, if that's the right description. So it just helps it.
Just that little bit of tip.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So this lives in this little pretty. It'll charge up while it's clipped into there. So it just bottom first. It clips in. When your ignition's off, it'll turn itself off. Behind it, can you see the two little? If you lose this, or you leave it at home in the kitchen drawer, or the dog eats it, or whatever else, the two buttons here you can press with a biro. One, I just can't see in that light, but one of them is auto level and one's auto retract.
Right.
Basically the only two functions that you
Really
essentially need.
Yeah.
I'll put that back in.
Splendid.
So, the system's installed. Dave's on his way back to Cumbria. Nandromeda's now sat on the drive with her self-levelling system down and in place. And you know what? It really does make a difference. There's no sway when you walk to the sink, and especially when you walk into the washroom, there is no movement whatsoever. Well, early days yet, so we'll bring you a lot more when we've got a lot more experience on different types of terrain. So for now, and for a few weeks yet, Vandromeda is going to go into weekly videos on YouTube. We don't have any major plans at the moment because of the weather and those other things that are happening in the world. So for now, take care. See you next time. But until then, enjoy the roads, enjoy the skies, but most of all, enjoy your lives. Bye.